Welcome to the Dream Journal. From the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, the Dream Journal is a weekly show where we explore the power of nighttime dreams through conversations with dream experts and with listeners like you.
Life you find is something understood. So there's now those vital minutes. Time is keenly found.
A dream can be meaningful even if you don't know what it means. Right, today's music is called Pelagic. Of the ocean as are we all. Colors. Dreams are full of them. And the chakra system is one way to explore their meanings. Today we'll be speaking to energy medicine specialist and chiropractor Dr. Mary Sanders about the chakra system and how it supports our health. Also, how the third chakra is connected to the astral body. I'm your host, Catherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork, and welcome to the Dream Journal. Let's get right to the guest. Hello, Dr. Mary Sanders. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Catherine, sincerely, it is my honor to hold space with you today. I'm getting excited,
Great.
with the opportunity of what all today brings.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This is very interesting to me. We'll get into, I'll say your bio in a second, but I just say the whole chakra system is something I've been interested in a while. And the way it pertains to colors, I think, is going to be very interesting. So Mary Sanders is a chiropractic doctor and a medical intuitive. Dr. Mary focuses on helping people cultivate thriving health, happiness, and purpose using energy medicine, spiritual embodiment, and meditation. She also is the host of the Energy Medicine podcast, which discusses everything related to aligning the mind, body, and the spirit. Her webpage is drmarysanders.com. Okay, so I've been very interested in the chakra system for a while, back from probably the 80s and 90s when I was spending a lot of time at Esalen and investigating the human body and how it works. I wonder, why don't you say, what is the chakra system?
Catherine, I just want to say, for starters, that the human body never really ceases to amaze me. So obviously with my training through as a chiropractor, I know the body incredibly well from the neck on down. That includes the central nervous system, the autonomic nervous system, the parasympathetic, sympathetics. So how we auto-regulate our nervous system is nothing shy of miraculous. When I was able to take the physiology of the human body and connect it into the human energetic system via this chakra system, it lit up my world. All of a sudden, the entire endocrine system came online. So I started to realize that the energy that we receive from our environment, and our environment can be people, places, and things, anything that is outside of us, and how it travels through the subtle electromagnetic field that surrounds our physical body, and then eventually hits the chakra system. Okay. And there it has three different purposes. This chakra system is designed to receive the information, to assimilate the information, and then last but not least, after we assimilate, we express our life force energy back out into the environment. And so there's so much that happens as we integrate information through our chakra system. It then inevitably starts to layer our various, connects with our layers of consciousness. And so once we connect into our consciousness, there are specific vibrations, specific colors that come online through the process of iontophoresis.
Iontophoresis, is that what the word is?
Yes, it is, iontophoresis.
Okay.
And so that's just the expression of colors through energy, through the waves of color. Now, in each chakra, truthfully, we have all colors of the spectrum. But each chakra, the one lowest to the earth, is the slowest vibration from, if we're looking at the 7 major chakras associated with the physical body. And I know there's many, many more beyond that, but for the sake of today's conversation, we'll just keep it about the 7 lower ones. But the energy coming from the pelvis is the lowest. The energy that comes out of the top of the head is the highest. And so then we go through a spectrum of colors, and colors much like the colors of the rainbow. So we start with the lower frequencies of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, kind of an indigo in there as well, transitioning into the higher color vibrations into white.
Okay. Okay, so that each of these, so there's, as you said, the 7 major chakras, the 7 body-based chakras, each have a particular color associated with them. Am I getting that right?
Yes, and many people like to say, well, it's an exact color. Well, for as long as I've been holding space for other people, I've never really seen a pure color. So it's not a pure red. It can be the spectrum of red, depending upon the congestion of the energy center. It can depend on the brilliance, the expression of the life force energy, and it fluctuates. Nothing is stagnant in this field.
Okay. Okay, so I love it that this is beyond the simple, but I want to say that from the dream perspective, often there are certain colors that just jump out at the dreamer. Like maybe, like in thinking of the movie The Matrix, the dress is red, this bright red, this thing, and sometimes I'll see some color that just really stands out to me, and it gets to be a question of like, so what does that color mean? And of course, I like to say that a dream can be meaningful without you needing to know what it means. And yet there's something helpful I have found in using the chakra system to anchor the colors with the 7 major colors. So red then, as you were saying, would be the base chakra, would be the lowest level, the closest to the ground, the most earthy of the chakras. So the red dress for me would be something very body-based, very much about survival, associated with blood as well, things like that. So I wonder if how that resonates with you. I know you're not a dream specialist per se, but I think this is one application of the chakra work that could be very interesting to discuss.
Yeah, I think it's worth some exploration. So let's dive into this. Since you're using the example red, and I loved your analogy in that it is very body-based and very earthy. And listeners, first and foremost, before I go through this, I want to invite you, whenever colors are showing up in your dreams, then just because I'm identifying a specific chakra to that color, I always open up the invitation for you to simply inquire from within what this color means to you.
Yes,
so,
good reminder.
Yeah, it's always individuated. So, but let's take an overarching theme. I like your idea that if you see red, then that's going to affiliate with the first energy center, which is the slowest and the lowest vibration of all of the chakra systems. The overarching theme of the first chakra has to do with safety, survival, trust, prosperity, purpose, to name a few. So when I talk about trust, it's not that superficial trust. I'm talking about that deep, resonant knowing that you will always be cared for, loved, nurtured, caressed. It's that deep capital T-R-U-S-T. So that's a theme that you might be looking at, for exploration if red is showing up within the physical body or within the dreams. Now you said, well, red kind of represents blood, and yes, it does. And interestingly enough, the physical portion, bones, in the production of red blood cells is also intimately connected into the first energy center.
Right.
So you can see, if red is showing up in your dreams, you've got a lot to kind of ponder, some overarching themes that might be underlining the message of the dreams.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So say a little bit more about that. Like, so the overarching message of the dream then might be related to, blood, of course, has this whole rich vein of symbolism in dreaming when you're relating to family. There's also seeing red. You even use the phrase seeing red, which can relate to anger. There's also passion and love. So there's just a huge range of possible meanings. But say a little bit more about how this relates to the chakra system for you.
Okay, so let's start, as I mentioned, that the chakra system is just a wheel of energy that is primarily responsible for receiving, assimilating, and expressing energy from the environment and back out into the environment. So one of the things that happens is that there is a physiological endocrine system that's associated with that energy center.
Okay, now what? I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you, Dr. Mary. What is the endocrine system? Like, what does that mean?
So essentially, that's just a fancy word for saying that these are the glands that produce hormones within your body. Okay. So specifically, within the first energy center, we're looking at the relationship of the adrenal gland. Now, the adrenal glands just happen to be kind of small kidney bean shaped glands that sit on top of your kidneys, and they are responsible for the hormonal production of adrenaline, epinephrine, norepinephrine, cortisol, DHEA. Now, in today's world, I know you and the listeners, some of those hormones are buzzwords. Because we are running in a sympathetic dominant world, we're running in a fight or flight mechanism a large percentage of our awake time. Okay? So we know that, again, this is associated with the adrenal glands, and there are various different emotions that are also associated. You mentioned anger. I often see fear of the unknown in this energy center. So the endocrine gland, to simplify it, produces hormones. The hormones then kind of produce emotions. So there's that connection. And then what's so beautiful about it, Catherine, is that there's a neurological connection too. So the nerves that exit out of the surrounding area in the lowest part of the low back, connected to the first chakra, are what connect the butt, thighs, knees, ankles, and feet. So let's say somebody is dreaming about, I don't know, let's just say somebody's dreaming about knee issues, or somebody's dreaming about varicosities, or, constipation. Those are some of the physiological things that could show up if that first energy center is compromised. And again, this relates all back to the overarching theme or the idea that you can use colors as an indicator, like when you're in the dream state world. From my perspective, I love the dream state. I always have. As being a small person, I loved to astrally travel. I didn't know what I was doing as a young person, but I still do it today, and I gather a lot of information. And what I'm exploring more and more, the more that I understand how energy is stored within the physical body and the energy system, I'm leaning into the idea, Catherine, that dreams are giving us an insight as to what's happening within the somatic wisdom that we all possess. And so that's really what our body is trying to tell our consciousness.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes there is specific information in dreams about things that are going on in the body, and I know Jeremy Taylor, who's a well-known dream teacher, who used to say that usually the dreams have some sort of version of all's fine, like all's well, somewhere in the dream. But I wonder if these colors could sort of be clues to what's going on in the body, in the somatic system, as you say.
Absolutely. And so, like, I was trying to make the connection between if you're experiencing awareness, okay, however you receive information, whether it be tightness, lightness, darkness, sensation, colors, in specific regions of the body, then we can relate it back to an energy center, which has an overarching color. So, and you know, Catherine, I'll follow your guidance, but if you want to talk about other energy centers that people may be interested in, I'm happy to, you know, provide more additional insight.
I think it might be interesting, actually, if you don't mind, and it sounds like you're on board, to kind of go through the 7 chakras and the 7 rainbow colors and just say a few words about what your take on what they might be suggesting around a dream, and also like in the body. Like, what is that? Sure. Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah, no. That's
okay.
This is my passion. This is what turns me on. I can talk about this all day long. So I just want to make sure that you and the listeners are getting what it is that you desire. So what I'll do, if it's okay with you, Catherine, I will provide a snapshot of an energy center, where it's located within the physical body, the corresponding color, the overarching themes in the corresponding endocrine gland and possibly body regions. And then I'll pause for a moment, and then if you have any questions, then I'll go on to the next one, because if not, I'll just ramble all day and it'll just be too much information to absorb. So so for today's conversation, once again, we're just sticking with the 7 lower chakras. I fully acknowledge that there are more energy centers than that. There's God knows how many. So let's move on. We started with the first energy center, which is located deep within the pelvis. And for those of you, I'm talking about right at the area of the pubic symphysis. So deep within the pelvis is located the first energy center. If we go up, Catherine, just a little bit up into the space just underneath the belly button, that soft spot, that's the location of the second energy center. Okay. And this is associated with the color orange, and it is associated with the reproductive gland. So in women, that's going to be your ovaries. In men, that's going to be your testes. So we're looking hormonally at the reproductive hormones. So we're looking at your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. Those are the primary hormones that you're looking at. The overarching theme is going to be associated with anything for creativity, connecting in with your truest and your deepest desires.
Okay.
Yeah. And for many of us, we get so conditioned at such a young age that we're not even consciously aware of our personal desires, let alone our deepest ones, right? So that's a big area of exploration. And so when we start thinking about the body regions, we're looking at anything that has to do with fertility. So you could be looking at your bladder. You can be looking at your lower intestinal system. Okay? So those are areas of the physical body that might show up within your dream that are looking for a better understanding as to how you want to connect with your creativity. And creativity, I mean, for you, it's one thing. For me, it's a different person. And for each and every single listener, they have their own definition as to what creativity represents to them. So it's a big, beautiful, beautiful energy center. It is also intimately connected with the clairsentience, the ability to perceive and receive information from people, places, and things. So when you start to hold energy for other people, it gets to be a little confusing, because then it's hard to discern what's your energy, what's your emotions versus what's the emotions of other people.
Right.
So that's the second energy center.
Okay. Perfect. Is that also what the location, what they call the Dantian in, I think it's Chinese medicine?
Yeah, close. You're looking at a different energy center,
Okay.
but I love looking at not only the Dantian, but the ID point and the Hara line, the line of intentionality. Those all come from that region.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let's look at the third chakra.
Sure. So now we're going to go up in the physical body. We're now in the torso. We're in the upper abdomen. So we're underneath the space of the ribs. So if you follow your breastbone all the way down, your sternum, there's going to be like a little xiphoid process or a little process at the end. And then you're going to have like this little soft dip in the upper abdomen. And so within this space, you have your solar plexus, most intimately connected with the color yellow, and it is your place of sovereignty, your area, your space of control. You also get an overarching theme of vitality and dreams, again, in a textbook world, although my own personal experience tells me that you can be tethered to your astral body out of any of your chakra systems. And so when you astrally travel at night, you know, the idea, the concept that there's a silver cord that tethers you to your astral body as you travel. And then as you come back in for your landing in the morning, you kind of come back into that energetic blueprint that mirrors your own energetic system. So sovereignty, autonomy, self-worth, self-control, individuality, those are the overarching concepts of this energy center. Connecting into the endocrine gland of the pancreas, so your ability to produce insulin, to produce sugar. So you may see symptoms around the liver, gallbladder, pancreas, and spleen in this area, as well as the small intestine. So that's the area of the third chakra.
Right.
So
that's color orange. Color orange.
Yellow.
Yes.
Yellow.
Oh, yellow.
Yellow.
Right. Sorry, red, orange, yellow. Correct. Thank you so much. Okay, great. So third chakra, and then comes the fourth chakra.
Located in the chest, most intimately connected with the heart. So I love the fourth energy center because it's a bridge. It's a bridge between the lower three energy centers, which are most intimately connected to the physical body. And then you have the transitional zone or the bridge of the fourth energy center that then transfers energy into the spiritual domain, the higher energy centers located in the neck, forehead, and the head, 5, 6, and 7, which we'll talk about in a moment. So the color associated with the fourth energy center typically is green. Okay?
Yep.
The endocrine gland, interestingly enough, is the thymus. And the thymus is really responsible for immunoprotection when you're growing. So the ages of 0 through 18, it's most active. But the thymus sits behind the sternum, behind the breastbone in that area. And so then we have the overarching themes, and everybody says, oh yeah, I know the fourth energy center is connected to love. And yes, Catherine, it is, but that's a big definition. Love for everybody is different. So I like to say the fourth energy center is connected to compassion. Okay? So compassion for self, primarily, and compassion for others. Okay. And so the idea underneath the compassion for self, Catherine, this is a big one for people, and that's self-love. It's easier to love, the person at the grocery store sometimes than it is, to love yourself. So we get to sit in the space of compassion, and underneath that is forgiveness. And I've also bumped into the idea of perfectionism in this space as well.
Really?
Yeah. So, the wiring, the condition that we get, in society that, has us striving to be bigger, better, and more productive at all times, and has us leaning towards that idea of perfectionism is the way to go. And it doesn't promote a lot of self-compassion or love. So that's how it bumps into this energy center. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you'll see. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. So I'm thinking that perfectionism in some ways is kind of the opposite of compassion. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay, I see. So these colors, I mean, like, I'm just going to pause for a second and think about these colors when they show up in the dreams, that they could be showing that we have, and I'm curious to get your take on this. They can be showing that either that we have a lot of this characteristic, or maybe that we need a lot of this characteristic. Like you mentioned, the perfectionism, and if the green shows up in the dream, that maybe it could be both. Maybe it could be a question of compassion or perfectionism. Do you have a sense of that? Of like, if we get something, like my husband was saying this morning, that sometimes even in waking life, a color will just really jump out at him, and I find that too. Sometimes there's color really speaking to us, and do you have like a sense of what that means when we are alerted by one of those colors?
Yeah, I see green. There's so many different spectrums of green, right?
Yeah.
So and it's funny. So, sense and say when intuition comes to me, but, the biggest example I can think of right now is I saw the movie Wicked over the holiday season, right?
Very green.
Okay, very green, right? And so many different colors of green. And so I think about that deep kind of gray, mossy, heavy green versus the vibrant spring kind of light green. Mm-hmm. I think, if I was looking at my dreams and I was looking at the color green, and I would be questioning the intensity of the color of it, mm-hmm. meaning, is it darker? Is it heavier? Is it muted? Does it feel like it needs to be brighter? Mm. So I would be questioning relatively, within my own intuition, like, oh, I'm seeing a dark muted green. Is that my indication? Is that a message to me that I want to lean towards more a brighter green? Mm. So maybe I want to increase the vitality of my fourth energy center, the space of the chest, of the heart, and set my intention to run more compassion to see if it influences the color of green that I'm receiving.
Okay, so the tone of the color is as important as the color itself.
I believe so.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, Dr. Mary Sanders says we are at the bridge point of the chakra system. We're at the heart and the color green, and we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back and talk about chakras 5, 6, and 7. And so much more. So we'll just take a short break, and thank you so much. This is Dr. Mary Sanders. Good to have you on the show. Your webpage is drmarysanders.com, and I want to say that we are broadcast live from the KSQD studios in Santa Cruz and co-broadcast live in San Jose by KCXU. So we will continue the chakra system when we get back and see if we get any callers. We will be right back. Okay, you are listening to the Dream Journal. Welcome to Dr. Mary Sanders today. Her webpage is drmarysanders.com. And I would like to send out a special welcome to our far-flung listeners on the show. Currently, we have live with us listeners from Watsonville, Santa Clara, Pacific Grove, Sacramento, Truckee, La Quinta, California, Ashburn, Virginia, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and New York, New York. So thanks so much for listening to the Dream Journal. If you want to nudge the algorithm to help spread interest in dreaming, please follow the Dream Journal on your favorite podcast app. And if you are inspired and you have an extra moment, please leave us a rating or a review. But most importantly, tell your friends, because our main mission here is getting people talking about dreams. Also, please contact me if you'd like to be a guest on the show to talk about a new book or to let folks know about your dream-related offerings. You can go to Facebook and Instagram to find out about upcoming shows and pod drops by following hashtag The Dream Journal and at Experiential Dreamwork. Next week, tune in to a show with social justice activist and avid dreamer Victor Lee Lewis. Been trying to get him on the show for a while, and I finally got him scheduled. We will hear Victor Lee Lewis next week. And today we are talking about the chakra system with today's guest, Mary Sanders. Dr. Mary Sanders is a chiropractor and a medical intuitive, and she has a lot of experience with the chakra system, and we're particularly looking at the chakras in response to colors, because dreams often have very distinct colors, and each chakra is associated with a given color as well as a given organ, part of the endocrine system. And Dr. Mary is going through the different chakras. We've done 1 through 4, and now we're going to look at the 5th chakra system. So take it away, Dr. Mary.
Yes. I'm so excited to hear from so many people throughout California and New York. I think that's wonderful. So for the sake of time, I'll be a little bit shorter in my description of Energy Center 5, 6, and 7. We just completed talking about the bridge from the physical into the spiritual. So we just transitioned out of the space of the heart. And now we're going to go and enter into this space of the 5th energy center located in the throat. And it's most connected with the thyroid gland. And the thyroid gland is all about regulating your hormones, whether it be thyroid, thyroxine, levothyroxine, any of these hormones associated with the thyroid. And the overarching theme, Catherine, has to do with authentic expression. Now, big one. So everybody has their own way of expression. And I can honestly say I have worked through many different layers of healing in this energy center myself. And so speech and language was not an original strength of mine, and I hope that it continues to strengthen. But voice is only one mechanism. Maybe you like to dance, maybe you like to write, maybe you like to sing, maybe you like to paint. Expression is so colorful, and the color associated with this energy center is going to be that blue, the blue energy that emanates from that clear expression. Yeah. Okay. Now,
blue. So
moving up.
Just to say, that's something that I've had a lot of experience with, the blue and the connecting with my expression. So thank you for that. That's helpful.
Yeah, I will say, and I think that this comes up for a lot of people, seriously, for all the people that have held sacred space for, there's an intimate connection between our authentic expression and connecting with our deepest desires. So oftentimes, when there's the energetic blockages or challenges, I see 2 and 5 show up in harmony, in which we get to clear, cleanse, and charge those energy centers so that we can really maximize that energetic flow. Again, whether it be through voice or writing, it just allows us to call in, if you will, our purpose-driven, authentic expression.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. And then we go up into this base of the forehead. Also, people like to call it your third eye. The third eye is most intimately connected. I think that this might just be my favorite endocrine gland of all, the pineal gland. And it's such a beautiful little gland. And for those of you listeners that are not aware of what the pineal is or where it is, but it's located midline in the center of the brain. And it's no bigger than your pinky fingernail. And it's shaped like a pine cone. So if you think about your pine cone and you think about the various different layers of the pine cone, this tiny little gland has a tremendous amount of surface area. And it's our first gland that sits in the center of the body. So the energy comes up. I like to think about, we rise through the various levels of consciousness, and then the energy kind of gets bottled from the lower chakras and transitions through the fourth. Then it gets a little bottlenecked in the fifth, and then it shoots up and hits that pineal gland. And I love this because we really, all of us here listening, stand for higher levels of consciousness. We hope this for humanity. And so I believe that there's an opportunity to cleanse, charge, and to repair this energy center known as the third eye. Mm-hmm. So again, we're moving into more of an indigo color. And so you're getting higher in vibration, and you're getting the frequency of those colors that emanate out of this area of the spectrum.
Okay.
And then so the overarching theme is clear vision within that area center. So it helps regulate light and dark. So you can imagine how active this energy center or as far as the vibes and the cones become when you're in a dream state. So again, more tidbits about the energy center of the sixth.
Well, somewhere I have this association of the sixth center, the one in the forehead, the dark blue indigo, to be associated with dreaming in particular. Is that, have you heard that, or are they all kind of equally effectively?
When I was taught a textbook, they talk about leaving and traveling via the astral plane, coming out of the third. But I have to share with you that I have a tendency of leaving out of my sixth and my seventh. And quite honestly, I know that that's how your spirit and your life force energy enters into your physical body. And I know that that's how you exit when you choose to transition, when you go through the dying process. But for me, that's where I am most comfortable with. Clairvoyance is a strength of intuition for me. So I love being able to engage out of my sixth and my seventh when I enter into the astral plane for dreaming.
Well, we'll definitely talk some more about astral plane travel. I'm very curious about that, but we still have one more chakra to go.
Yes. And that's on the top of the head, the top of the cranium. And this is the energy center that connects us into all that exists outside of us, right? The divine, the beautiful access to the information that much greater and outside us that we get to download for our direct knowing. And this is connected with the pituitary gland. So you'll find that the pituitary gland is the master regulator of all the endocrine system. So it has a play over your entire physical body and your central nervous system. These different symptoms that you might experience could be headaches or foggy thinking or abstract thinking or linear thinking, unable to think abstractly, that judgmental kind of thinking patterns. So those are all kind of physical symptoms that revolve around the overarching theme of the seventh.
Okay, and this is also where the bodily chakra system connects to these other chakras above the body. This is something that you mentioned. Is that right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And do you want to say just a little bit about these other chakra systems that are like extra body, beyond the body?
Well, yeah, I do. But know that within the physical body, you also have a nadi system. You have, the foundation of the traditional TCM, the traditional Chinese medicine. So all of the acupuncture points are a meridian system are based on energy lines as well. But once we ascend out of the seventh, we enter into an area that I like to call the manifestation zone. And that is the area of the eighth, ninth, and then the 10th that are directly above in a scaffolding kind of formation out of the 7th. And then you get the overarching 10th. You get energy centers coming out of the hands and the feet. They talk about the 12 energy centers and then beyond. So again, it is expansive. We can go beyond that too.
Okay, this is really interesting. So I have another question floating through my mind having to do with Kundalini. Is this Kundalini is related to the chakra system?
It is. It is, yes, intimately.
Okay.
Kundalini energy is essentially that cellular vibration, a vibration that emanates from the trillions of cells that we house within our physical body. It has a very resonant frequency, down to the DNA and the filaments that connect the DNA together. And it rises out of the pelvic bowl. And so we are able to pull the energy, or allow the energy, I should say, to rise out of the pelvic bowl and to ascend through the various different layers of consciousness, firing up that cellular response. And so there, Catherine, lies your cellular memory that you've had this lifetime, previous lifetime, the ancestral lineage, the karmic lineage, the cellular knowing that we all have within our body. So yes, the Kundalini energy has a system of its own that's so beautiful.
Okay, and these things can then be accessed and enhanced also through meditation, so that that's one of the ways of working with these systems. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe that we all have the ability to tap into the senses above and beyond the traditional 5 senses. So all that information is available to all of us, We just have to expand, open, and allow that information to move through us.
Okay, so thank you. So Dr. Marius, when I want to get to the idea of astral travel, and maybe I'd like to hear about maybe some of your experiences. You've already mentioned a few times the idea of connecting through the 3rd chakra or connecting through the 6th chakra with that. And so the astral travel is when we're sleeping, right? That's typically when it happens. And that we leave the body, but we remain tethered to the body. Am I understanding that right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I will say that there are different classifications of dreams. And so we clearly have those dreams that we're processing our daily engagements, and maybe they're not overall significant in downloading information, but are pertinent to our daily lives. I'm not discrediting them. So we're going to have, some dreams that are of lesser significance, and then there are dreams of greater significance, those big dreams. Mm-hmm. And my experience when I am traveling, I travel during wake hours in my astral body, and I travel at night.
Okay.
And I have various different locales, symbols that represent to me when I know that I'm receiving information, when I'm downloading information from a higher plane. And the symbols that show up for me consistently over the years have to do with crystals on some level. So it could be I'm looking at jewelry, it could be I'm holding a crystal, or I'm looking into the earth and seeing various different crystal beds. Or I'm in some locale which is completely made up of crystals. But that's the symbol to me. That's what I then become to recognize. Hey, you're in a big dream, and open yourself up for receiving more information.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe would you be comfortable sharing an example of one of these experiences that you've had through astral travel or receiving information? I'd love to hear some experiences that you're comfortable sharing.
Yes, I remember this dream has stuck with me. So I know that, there's going to be an imprint somewhere. But I was on a treatment table. So not unlike a massage table. So like a treatment table. But what was ascending from me from a cathedral ceiling was a mobile, like a hanging mobile made out of gemstones that represented the 7 chakras. And so the mobile was in movement. It was multidimensional. Mm-hmm. And I remember looking at the various different layers, looking at how it was moving. and what was like the somatic sensations within my body. So it was very viscerally, like I was experiencing physical sensations as I was witnessing these stones.
Okay. Wow. And then what happened?
Nothing quite yet. I highly doubt that that's the case. I'm certain that something was happening. So
Right.
I am just impervious to the real information quite yet.
Okay. But the crystals, you find the crystals are very helpful in accessing these higher states? Is that one thing you're saying?
It's for me, it's a symbol. It's just a symbol that represents, hey, I'm in a place in which I need to pay attention.
Okay, right. So like how do we recognize the big dreams from the little dreams? I mean, this is something I've often pondered, because all dreams seem to have such interesting meaning. Some dreams are like there's a level of that just seems meaningfulness. It seems like there's meaningfulness to the dream. But I'm curious what your take is on this idea. Well, like for example, this dream here, you're laying on a bed, laying on a table, a treatment table, and looking up into the crystals.
That's a big dream for me.
Yeah.
Now, if you say, hey, Mary, how do you know that?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to just say, Catherine, I just know.
Okay.
I just know that it is a big dream, and that, there's information being downloaded. Now, contrary to some of the dreams that I was having when I was in that, state this morning, that place between here and there, I knew that I was processing some content of information that was delivered to me this week. I mean, I was paying attention because I was starting to get somatic responses, but it wasn't a big dream. It was a smaller dream.
So it's about your intuition. Basically, you can follow the intuition about whether there's a big dream or a small dream. We're nearly to the end of our time together. It's amazing how these hours just fly by. And I wonder if you have any other topics that you'd like to share with our listeners that's particularly important to you right now.
Wow, that's a really loaded question. I've been kind of tap-footing around this idea that we store memories within our physical tissues, and it's a hot topic these days when you start thinking about central nervous dysregulation and how we store trauma within our physical body, within our tissues. And so what I'm realizing that specifically, when I talk about my knowledge base about the vagus nerve and polyvagal theory, and that 80% of the nerve information comes from the body and goes up to the brain. It's not our brain coming down to the body, it's the body going up to the brain. So I really am more and more fascinated, like the amount of time that we spend in a sleep state. Like that information that we receive, I just don't believe that that's wasted time. I believe it's valuable time for us. And so when we're in this state and tapping in and listening and looking for the clues and of what your body is telling us, and that there is a lot of integration, I believe, that happens on a cellular level, and a lot of physical healing that happens during our dream state as well.
Thank you. I love that, and you're preaching to the choir. I think there's a tremendous amount of value in dreams, even the ones we don't remember. We don't have to remember everything. So, Dr. Mary Sanders, this has been a fascinating conversation all about colors and chakras and the body system. I learned more about glands than I ever knew before. Who knew how important those glands were and how many of them we had? My goodness. So thank you for that. This has been very, very educational. I'm really glad to have you on the show, and I wish you all the best in your work to come. And your webpage, drmarysanders.com, right? Is there any other way you want folks to get in touch with you, or is the webpage the best way?
You know what? I think the webpage is the best. And I just want to put a little plug out there, plant a seed.
Yeah.
if there are listeners that are like, hey, I don't know what this lady is really talking about, but the curiosity has piqued my interest.
Yeah.
Know that I have opportunities, various different levels of contact point. If you just want to chat on the phone, then let's chat on the phone. If you want to check out the podcast, check out the podcast Energy Medicine. If you want to connect for a group healing, that's fine. I know that I am here to be of service. I know that with the trillions of the cells that I have within my physical body. So that's all.
Beautiful, beautiful. And thanks for reminding us about the podcast, the Energy Medicine podcast. And I'm so glad to have you be on this planet, Dr. Mary.
Thank you. Thank you. And Catherine, thank you for all that you're holding space for and the education and the evolution of the dream world. I think that that's such important stuff. So thank you for being you as well. And listeners, I feel you and you're beautiful.
Take care, Dr. Mary.
Thank you, Catherine. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Bye now. All right, well, thank you all for listening. The Dream Journal is produced at the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, and we are live every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific at ksqd.org. The podcast is released on the Monday after the show. It spreads interest in dreaming when you subscribe, rate, and review. I am Catherine Bell. You can find out about my dream coaching practice at experientialdreamwork.com. You can email me at catherine@ksqd.org, KATHERINE, at ksqd.org. Follow Experiential Dreamwork and hashtag The Dream Journal on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn to find out about upcoming shows. I'd like to thank Rick Cleffel, engineer and music creator, audio editing by Suki Wessling, phones by Tony Rissimano. Intro and outro pieces are both by Mood Science. And tomorrow morning when you wake up, take a minute to write down your dream and bring it to the next Dream Journal.
Perfect is the enemy of good. The journey to perfect always starts with should. Should is a word that should not exist. If you want to use it, try hard to resist, to resist, to resist, resist, resist.